Hello, and welcome to Learning from Each Other. We're two nice friends, two lovely friends. My name's Theo, and his name's Charlie. Talk about things, varying levels of seriousness, varying levels of passion and care. And today we have a subject which I believe harbours a lot of passion and care from you, Charlie. Correct?
Yes, and also like a very high amount of seriousness also.
And I'm going to take this
Trinity.
so seriously. I'm not going to laugh a single time. I'm not going to have fun. I'm going to cry multiple times.
Okay, good. So I wanted to teach you, Theodore, about the wonderful world of professional wrestling.
Which I know a tiny bit about. And in fairness, I did used to watch it. Back in the day. But
who was your favourite when you watched it?
Well, so I used to watch it with my uncle when I was really, really young. And when I was that age, what I should have been watching currently was like Steve Austin, like the Attitude Era, right?
Okay.
But because I watched it with my uncle, we watched his VHS tapes. So I actually watched the classic era. So my favourite was oh yeah! Ooh, Macho Man, the cream rises to the top. That was my guy, Macho Man. And then Andre the Giant was my second favorite because he was just like,
nice.
I could never understand anything he said, but he was great.
I'm very happy about the lack of Hulk Hogan in your.
Hey man, I hate. Sorry for the first F-bomb of the podcast. Are we bleeping those out, by the way?
I was just gonna go for it.
Fine.
It's up to you, though. I mean,
even as a child who was so young, he was totally unaware of things like racism and sexism. He's just such a blissfully innocent little cherub creature that hasn't experienced the cruelties of harsh reality. I thought Hulk Hogan was gross. I didn't like how much he glistened, and I didn't like how much yellow he wore. I thought it was distasteful. And I also
did you like how much he called you brother?
No, I didn't, because I'm not his brother, you know? Stop appropriating me to you. And I think the other thing was, like, his thing was, like, firstly, being really strong, and my favourite strong person was Andre, so fuck that.
Yeah.
And his second thing was shouting at camera and shouting at Gene, and no one shouted at camera or shouted at Gene better than Macho. So basically, he did two things that my two favourite wrestlers did better. So it was like, fuck it. And then he slipped 2 discs picking up Andre, so I guess he got what he deserved. Racist twat that he is. Anyway, this is your episode. So there's my little
when he also
history.
said that he wanted to have sex with his daughter?
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, good
Very
times.
Trump-like, you know?
Good guy all round. All round good guy.
Really good guy.
So pro wrestling. Oh, God.
Brother wrestling.
Brother.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I'll just talk about why I like it so much.
Yeah, we can start there.
I genuinely believe that there is a style of storytelling that can only be told in professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful, long-form story. Obviously, like, the stories can be different, but there's, like... Because it's, like, the same characters for years and years and years.
Yeah.
The level of, like, depth of backstory you can get is something that I don't think happens in a lot of other forms of media, and which is why, like, for me also, the story is, like, the best bit about wrestling.
Yeah.
All of the moves are really cool, the physicality is incredible, but, like, what keeps me watching is the fact that I want to know what happens next.
What do you think the closest comparison you could make to wrestling from another kind of like creative outlet would be? Because immediately, this is kind of weird, but immediately I think of anime.
I haven't watched anime like at all.
Yeah.
But I gets compared to soap operas a lot, but again, I haven't watched a lot of soap operas, but I can imagine it's the same sort of thing because people are on it for like years. And
the reason I say anime, and I might get a lot of hatred for this, but I kind of feel like soap operas are anime but aren't entertaining. And what I mean when I say that is like not that fucking Phil from EastEnders is going to pull out a katana and go like, "What's in this?" and slash up a load of demons. Or
but imagine if he did.
I'd start watching EastEnders, But I'd love that. I'd love that as well. Give him a Demon Slayer scar on the side of his face. He kind of looks like a demon. Anyway, look, it's kind of like a soap opera is like an anime without the action, without the beautiful art, without the cinematography. It's kind of an anime without anything except the extreme amounts of story. Because anime gets a lot more story in, I think, firstly, because anime is really thoughtfully made. And secondly, because, Jesus Christ, do characters in anime talk a lot. Inner monologues, outer monologues, dialogues. There's so much needless conversation in a lot of anime that you get a lot more story than you would in a Western production or a film, because it's just not realistic, the amount that they say. And I kind of feel like that's the same with wrestling, because like in a soap opera, you get all of that bullshit, like the chatting and the monologue and the inner monologue and like the thoughtful, pensive looks. But the reason wrestling's like anime is because you hear their inner monologue when they get interviewed backstage, and it's colorful and crazy, and then they do fight, and some of them fucking pull out chairs like katanas, and like they dress like they're in an anime too sometimes. So like, I don't know, calling wrestling soap opera, I feel like, is really not doing it justice.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So there is a YouTuber who makes a lot of anime videos, whose name I can't remember, but he's also done like 3 incredible pro wrestling videos. I'm gonna try and find.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of crossover. There is. I also feel like the kind of like crossover of the fan base is kind of weird to say that there would be a crossover of the fan base, but I feel like the intensity of anime fans rivals that of the intensity of wrestling fans. You're just talking about soap operas, anime, and I said that you were going to look for the YouTube guy.
The guy's name is Super Eye Patch Wolf.
Oh, nice. That's an extreme anime name.
Yeah, he's done a load of anime stuff, but he's done like 3 or 4 really good videos about wrestling. So I guess there is some crossover there.
Yeah, like obviously it goes without saying there's crossover with every fan base on Earth. Like even absurd ones like fucking Nazi fan base and like BLM. There's definitely a Nazi who's part of the BLM movement somewhere, but I feel like the crossover between anime and wrestling is gonna like surprise a lot of people. I do feel like there's a big crossover. Whereas if you're talking about soap opera, fuck off soap operas.
I would actually also say like comics.
Yeah,
I feel like that would have quite a good crossover, because
or
again,
just
it's like
superheroes in general.
Yeah, it is like real life superheroes,
definitely,
especially when you're Gregory the Hurricane Helms, whose character was literally a superhero called the Hurricane.
Oh, I remember the Hurricane.
We all love the Hurricane.
I don't know how I feel about the Hurricane. I enjoyed watching the Hurricane. I believe Triple H fucking slammed him into an announcer's desk.
Probably.
I remember there was one time I think he got into the ring with Triple H and Stone Cold at the same time. And he got fucking...
Brave boy.
He got stunned. Wait, sorry, what is fucking Triple H's finisher?
Pedigree.
Yeah, he got pedigreed and he got stunned. I remember that, but I'm not sure if I got it right. Anyway.
He did a lot of stuff with The Rock as well, but like that was more like promos, like they were friends and they would do stuff together.
So would you say you prefer the promo side to the action side?
I would say yes. I think it depends.
And also, like obviously, what is a promo for people who don't know what that is?
So a promo is when like the wrestlers will either be like interviewed backstage, or they'll shoot like a video, or they'll get in the ring with a microphone and talk, and it's just the way that they might like call out someone else, they might explain their actions. It's basically just the way to like forward the story, like narratively rather than physically, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think someone doing a good promo, I'm more likely to go back and rewatch that really good promo like a lot of times rather than like a really good match. And maybe that's just because a promo is normally like 5 minutes, where a match could be like half an hour. So it's just a time thing. But I think it's like, I don't know, there's something about the like the command of the crowd that some of these people have that's just incredible.
Their charisma.
And like the charisma, exactly. It just oozes out of them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Insane.
They are so magnetizing. Like that's
Yes.
definitely why I think I fell in love with Macho Man so quickly, and that's why I like same as you. I watch promos every now and again still, and I watch sometimes when I'm feeling sad because Andre's dead. I watch some of Andre's stuff. Macho Man died so long ago, I don't feel sad about it anymore. So I watch Macho Man stuff when I feel like I need to be pumped up. But honestly, the one promo that I've watched, this is so basic that you can tell that I'm not a real wrestling fan because this is my answer. But like the Stone Cold, that's
Austin 316 said I just whooped your ass.
I've seen that one so many times.
That is a classic, to be fair.
Actually, the only other one I've probably watched as many times is when Stephanie McMahon is fucking around with Triple H for like one of the first stories they did, and she's talking about how small his penis is, and then he says this. He's like, even a Boeing 747 looks small when you're flying it into the Grand Canyon. Every time I've ever heard that, it gets me a good giggle.
Have you heard of the Steiner Math one? The Steiner Math is a classic.
Oh yeah. And then if you take that 2/3 chance that I got to win in and add that to the 1/2 chance that he got to do the losing, that I have. It's been so good. It's been
you
a long
put two
time.
people in a match. I got a 50% chance of winning, but I'm a genetic freak, so that goes up to a 75% chance of winning. But then you add Samoa Joe, and that takes it down to a thing on a 33.3%.
Wow, you remember a lot of it. Wow.
I've seen it so many times.
Fucking
it's so good.
Jesus, his chest is really scary.
Oh my god, he is an animal. He is a genetic freak.
No, his chest, like the indent between his pectorals.
Oh, okay.
His physique is great. It's
he now runs
steroidal.
like a Denny's or something like that.
It's like so clearly roid physique.
Oh yeah.
But his chest just makes me sad because Big Papa Pump used to have the best pecs in the biz, and now they're fucking like wretched little wormlets that seem to have crawled away from each other in fear.
Wretched little wormlets.
Welcome to the Learning from Each Other podcast. Well, you can hear things like wretched little wormlets
to describe a man's body.
Yeah. We're nothing if not empowering on this podcast.
Look, these men are probably all overconfident. They all deserve to be taken down a few pegs.
Do you know what's funny? People like Steiner are probably the least confident people on the planet.
Do you think? I think a lot of wrestlers, I would say that's true for. I don't think Scott Steiner that is true for.
Yeah, you're the expert. Oh, absolutely.
I do not get that vibe from him.
He doesn't give the Hulk Hogan vibe.
He doesn't. Do you not think?
No. Honestly, I never really watched Rick Steiner do anything except for fuck up math.
I would like to say that's Scott Steiner.
Sorry, Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner.
You. His brother is Rick.
Not Stott Skyner.
And his son is not his son. Rick Steiner's son is the current NXT champion.
Wow.
Bron Breakker.
Bron Breakker.
Yeah, they were originally gonna call him Rex Steiner, which would have been fucking sick. And then they changed it last minute to Bron Breakker.
Yeah, Rex Steiner, sick as hell. Why didn't they call him Steiner?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I wasn't in the naming meeting, to be honest
Ryan
with you.
Steiner. Ryan Steinerson. They could make him Jewish. Ryan Steinerson.
So originally it was going to be Rex Steiner because their real surname is Rex Steiner.
That's cool.
Like
That's really cool.
R-E-I-C-H Steiner. Like Rex Steiner. So that he was going to be Rex because it would have been, like a nice little, this is actually my last name.
Yeah.
But then they were just like, that name already exists. Change it. We're going to call you Bron Breakker.
They'll probably change it back when they move them up. I don't know if they still move people up from NXT.
They do still move people up, but now, so this is getting into the deeper shit that I was planning on getting into, but it's all good. So the way that with WWE specifically now, so for people who don't know about wrestling, WWE you will probably know about. It's like the biggest wrestling company in the world. It's been around since like the 50s, the 60s.
Well,
I can't remember
Vince
exactly.
McMahon made it, and he's been around since the dawn of time.
So Vince McMahon Sr. had WWF, which was World Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
Not Wheelie Wheelie Wrestling Federation.
Not Wheelie Wheelie Wrestling Federation. And then Vince Jr., who is current CEO, he basically like undercut his dad, took over the business, and just completely revolutionized how wrestling works. So back in the day, there weren't national companies. It was all broken up into territories. So the WWF at the time was based in New York, and it was like you only do shows in New York. This is it. Like if you want to go somewhere else in America, you have to like ask permission for that territory.
Wow.
And then like they might, so then it come on like they'd all be working together. And Vince McMahon came in and was like, fuck this, I'm just going to pay every biggest star from every promotion to come and work for me. And so then there's a story where someone who works there for a long time called Jim Ross, who was a commentator and like a backstage guy.
I love Jim Ross.
Yeah, good old JR. He was in a toilet having a poo once, and these two guys came in genuinely planning to assassinate Vince McMahon. Like genuinely like talking about like how they were going to hire someone because he was ruining the business. Like,
wow,
it was a big deal at the time.
I don't think there's a person alive who could assassinate Vince McMahon. He's not a person.
No, he's
anymore.
Unkillable.
He is he's an ideal. He's capitalism made real, made steel.
Yeah, so there are lots. So now WWE is like the biggest company in the world, but there are lots of like small independent promotions, and then there are some sort of like slightly bigger ones, but WWE are like the main one. And then there's loads in like the UK and Japan and Europe and all over the world. WWE went through a phase with their show NXT, which Triple H ran for like 10 years maybe.
And he did a good job of it as well, right?
He did a great job.
Yeah.
Like it was for a while it was a lot better than like the main stuff they were putting out. So he was running it, and he basically was hiring everyone on the indie scene who was incredible. Like all of the best indie wrestlers were being signed to NXT by Triple H to just wrestle, and it was incredible. So you had people like Kevin Steen, who then became Kevin Owens, El Generico, who retired back to his orphanage, and then Sami Zayn popped up, but they're completely different people. Okay, but if you take one thing away from this, it's that Sami Zayn and El Generico are completely different people.
Okay, taken away.
Yeah, gotta keep the story alive.
Got you.
Finn Balor, who was Prince Devitt,
who is
in
my
Japan.
favorite wrestler. Oh no, he's my second favorite wrestler. Yeah, well, just to give you some understanding, I don't follow wrestling at all nowadays. Okay. The only way I get wrestling is through the two wrestlers that I follow on Instagram. Finn Balor being my second favorite because his abs are just immaculate, and also he was just the best, and all of his demon stuff was just so incredible.
It was so
when
cool,
when I used to watch it mostly through fucking What Culture Wrestling. Jesus Christ. No. What the fuck was I saying? Yeah, so Finn was the best, and also he's just like such an incredible person, and I love following him, and like his documentary was incredible. But the number one, you know who the number one is.
I don't know if I do know.
You should know who the number one is. I'll let you guess.
Oh god, are they like a current wrestler?
Yeah.
Seth Rollins.
You get two more guesses.
Oh fuck, Kevin Owens.
Oh my god, you have one more guess.
Becky Lynch.
Jesus Christ.
Oh fuck, it's Rick Boogs.
It's Rick De La Stick, boy.
Fuck.
Yeah. Rick De La Stick here is Rick Boogs. I've been a fan of Bugenhagen since way before he was even a prospect to be a wrestler. Since when he was just an insane deadlifting machine who drank 13 cups of coffee every day. I love Boogs with every ounce of my soul.
So there's a wrestler, he used to wrestle in NXT, but he got fired. Now he wrestles for AEW. His name is Daddy Magic Matt Menard, and I think you would love him.
If we're going off of name alone, I'm already completely head over heels.
He's got very much like Cokehead 80s promo vibes, where he just like points at a camera and shouts, and it's great.
Yeah, I do like that, actually. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I grew up with, so it's ticking the boxes.
Plus,
there.
his name is Daddy Magic. Like, what's
Well,
like?
I kind of feel a little bit upset because I did copyright that name a long time ago, so he is infringing.
That just means they'll pay you loads of money.
I guess it's probably because I'd copyrighted Magic Daddy and he's Daddy Magic. That would explain a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've gone wildly off the piece thanks to me. So let's bring it back because we're talking about why you love it. So I want you to compile your top 3 reasons, and you don't need to put them in order, why you love wrestling, and then explain it to a layman. Like, if I'm going to empty my brain for a moment. Just give me a second. Okay, done. If I'm just a complete baby, I've never watched wrestling before in my entire life, give me the 3 reasons why I should watch it and why you love it, and I'm just going to absorb.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to what I said originally about... So the first one is that it has a level of storytelling that I don't think you can get in many other forms of media, which I love. Secondly, like, these people put their... Like, people are always like, it's fake. It's predetermined. They know who's going to win going in, but, like, it fucking hurts.
Yeah.
And the stuff that these people can do, just, like, watching it is incredible.
Yeah.
And number 3 is that, honestly, it's probably, like, nostalgia for me at this point. I watched it as a child, and I still will get the, like fun, giddy excitement when I see something really cool.
I love that.
So when I was a child, I'll talk about the nostalgia one first, because this is the first thing that came into my head. So as a child, my favorite wrestler was Matt Hardy. Absolutely loved Matt Hardy.
Wow.
His whole thing, yeah. No, not Matt Hardy. Jeff Hardy. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I was going to say, what the fuck? Okay, man.
Matt Hardy is great as well.
He
They're both
is
great,
now, but back in the day, he was a bit of a weirdo. A bit of a weirdo, mate.
But Jeff Hardy was my favorite, and for anyone who doesn't know, his thing was that he would just climb up big ladders and jump onto people, and he was just, like, insane. Like, he would just do, like, the craziest shit, and I loved it. And I went to a trampoline park when I was probably, like, 19, and I spent literally about half an hour doing his finisher move, which is called the Swanton Bomb.
I was going to say the Swanton Bomb is one of the most iconic finishing moves, I think. Just with the setup and the way it's done, I think it's so beautiful. Because it's not, yes. I've been told that it's not particularly difficult to land, and it's actually quite safe as well.
Yeah.
But it looks so impressive. And there are moves out there that are 1,000 times more dangerous that look way less impressive. And I feel like that's where the sweet spot is, right? If you're a wrestler, if you're doing this every week, you want your moves to look really, really sick, but not really have an opportunity to damage you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively safe until you're doing it, like, off a 20-foot ladder through 4 tables.
Yeah, well, I don't know why I brought that up, considering who we're talking about. Yeah, good point. Remember, I'm baby. I forgot everything I knew about wrestling, so.
And so they left WWE. I don't know, maybe years ago, and then they came back at WrestleMania. I can't remember which one it was, but at a WrestleMania, and I was watching it, and I was sat up, and it was like 3 a.m.
I think
and
I
was
remember
watching
that.
It by myself. Yeah.
It was after Matt did all of the...
all the broken shit.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, man, I remember that. That was such a good moment.
Yeah,
no one thought it was going to happen.
Good.
No one thought it was going to happen. And then Matt came down the ramp doing the delete stuff, and people were freaking out. Yeah, sorry. I'm baby. I forgot everything, and I just took that over completely. Continue.
And I literally so it's meant to be like a 3-team ladder match at WrestleMania for the tag team titles, and then the hosts of WrestleMania, the New Day, come out and they're like, "We've got a surprise for you. There's another team." And I was like, "No fucking way! No fucking way! This isn't happening. They're not actually having the Hardys." And then the iconic 90s Attitude Era Hardy music hits. Mm-hmm. Everyone loses their mind. I'm in my living room, trying not to wake people up in my house, but I'm so excited.
Are you by yourself?
And I'm just doing the Jeff Hardy little hand sign.
Oh, are you alone?
On my own, yeah, completely alone. And then then the match happens, and Jeff Hardy climbs a ladder, and I genuinely got my phone out to record like his first swanton back in WWE because I was so excited. That's just like the level of nostalgia that him specifically has like for me. I'm just in love with him, and he had a match like. I don't know when we're going to release this, but he had a match very recently on AEW against Darby Allin, which was fucking insane. Wow. He jumped. So basically, the big spot for this match, the big like set piece move, was that they'd set up like 8 chairs, sort of like sat up facing each other. So it kind of so you could lay down on it, kind of like a bed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of.
And then they put a very
no,
large,
in fact, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then they put like a 20-foot ladder in the ring, and these chairs are on the outside of the ring, so that's an extra couple of feet of the ring.
Yeah.
They're fighting. Jeff Hardy gets punched by Darby Allin, who is sort of like a new Jeff Hardy, kind of. He's just also insane. He then climbs up the ladder, this 20-foot ladder. So his finisher move is called the coffin drop, where basically
nice name.
He puts his like. Yeah, right?
Really,
he's a
really
very
good.
emo boy.
Yeah.
He just like crosses his arms around his front and then just does like a backdrop. Just like straight like jumps, back hits you. He just did that from the top of this ladder onto Jeff Hardy through like chairs, kind of missed and hit like the rim of the top of the seat of the chair. Oh my god, it looks so painful.
Jesus.
And there you go. That moves on to the second thing. These people do fucking insane shit, and it's crazy to watch.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting because this is leading really well into something I wanted to throw in.
Okay.
My Jeff Hardy was CM Punk.
Okay.
And I feel like I would have felt that level of excitement when CM Punk came back to AEW. If he hadn't gone and gotten himself beaten up in UFC. Now, I am a UFC fan. I'm a boxing fan too.
Okay.
I watch UFC and boxing regularly. Not so much UFC anymore, just because it's phased out. But that's nothing really. But essentially, like the way they batter themselves about in the ring is incredible, and the UFC people couldn't do it. But it's something about the legacy of Jeff and the way he maintained it, and then the legacy of Punk and the way he cheapened it. Yeah, I don't really know my point to this, but like I think what I'm trying to say is I understand. And I think it also adds to like the legitimacy. So like people always say like wrestling isn't real, so it's not legit. Like look at UFC, they're real, they're getting punched in the face every day. Yeah, okay, but you know, if a fight ends with one clean punch to the face, they may get a concussion. They may not. And they may very well have lucked out like crazy. And in fact, the person who won may very well not have been hit a single time. That means you've gone into the ring, earned a huge payday, and not been hurt a single time. When you go into a wrestling ring, there is not really, unless you're a jobber, there's not a chance that you're going in to basically have a short match where you barely get hurt. And in fact, if you're a jobber, sorry, I'm not talking about jobbers. I mean the people who fuck jobbers up.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, jobbers are like they're usually like local talent that they come in and they're just there to get beaten in like 20 seconds to make someone look really strong. The main guys
look really strong. So I guess what I'm saying is like the excuse people to give for legitimacy, the argument of like, well, wrestling isn't real, it's actually working against themselves. Because yes, the UFC is going in to kill each other. I understand that, but the UFC match can end with an armbar that doesn't damage them in 10 seconds, you know? It doesn't always, in fact, it doesn't usually, but it can. Whereas a wrestling match never does, and it always involves brutality. And on top of that, a wrestler's doing brutal matches every fucking second day all year round. Whereas UFC fighters who fight frequently for fighters are doing it like maybe four times a year, and boxers might like maybe do it twice a year, and twice a year is a busy year. So as far as I'm concerned, wrestlers are harder than fighters.
Yeah, and even if you do think like that, there are wrestlers that have made the transition and been very successful, like Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar fucking annihilate. Well, he was on steroids the whole time, but he did do an incredible. He did a good.
Bobby
he
Lashley
did a good
as
job.
well.
Bobby Lashley. Fucking. Batista. It has a 1-0 record in in
Really?
mixed
I didn't
martial
know
arts.
that.
Yeah.
Jake Hager, who used to be Jack Swagger.
Yeah.
He's currently undefeated in Bellator.
He's a real deal.
Yeah. So there are like some people can make that transition and do it if they want to.
CM Punk
Like,
upset me because he really talked a big talk, and I could have beaten him at the time. And at the time I had 4 less years training than I do now. It was just really fucked. It was bad. Anyway, I've derailed you again. Sorry, I'm listening.
That's all right. It's fine. It's all part of the conversation.
But this is your episode, Charlie. This is why you love wrestling, not why Theo's sad CM Punk ruined his legacy.
Yeah, but also, have you seen the CM Punk coming back video? Like, it's very emotional.
No.
It's real good. It's very emotional.
I probably
It's
won't
just
watch
like,
it.
He's like crying. It's really good.
Oh, really?
He's honestly, since he's come back, he's been like insanely good. Considering he didn't wrestle for like 7 years. He's just like,
I told a
he's
lie.
just back.
I follow 3 wrestlers on Instagram.
Who else do
Ruby
you follow?
Soho.
Oh, yeah, let's go. I love Ruby.
Yeah, because I fucking
great.
loved Ruby Riott so much in WWE. She was the best.
Yeah.
I fucking loved that lady. And she's very attractive. Just want to say that. That's... Yeah. Just wanted to say that.
Just getting it out there.
In like a punk way. Like in a punch you in the face, break your nose kind of way. You know?
Step on me mummy way.
No.
No.
Not at all. But I'm happy that I've had that window into your soul.
So wrestling, right? What was I saying?
You're talking about how much
so,
you respect
like,
how much they put their bodies on the line.
Yeah, and even if it's not like a death match or anything, even if it's just like a standard rules like match, like there's still so much risk that things can go wrong.
Yeah.
Like at a moment's notice, and I just think that these people deserve a lot more respect than they get. Also, just like physically, if they're wrestling for like half an hour, that is like half an hour of like intense,
Yeah.
like cardio. Like they are moving pretty much all the
100%,
time.
Yeah.
They might have like a little rest for like 10 seconds, but like that's it. Like they have to be like on top physical form.
The masters who go into the ring and do an insane, like crazy match for an hour and don't get hurt, they deserve respect because they are true artists, masters at their craft. And then the total amateur twats who are doing their first ever match and who are throwing themselves onto concrete, giving themselves concussions, they deserve respect for putting their bodies on the line anyway. So at
like
every
it's
level
different.
of wrestling, everyone deserves respect.
That is the other thing I will say. Another reason I love it is that there is something for everyone in wrestling. Whether you like comedy stuff,
Romance.
whether you like serious stuff, whether you like hardcore, like
Romance.
deathmatch, whether you like technical romance. Yeah,
technical romance.
Technical romance.
That's technically romance.
Yeah. But like there is genuinely like something for everyone, and you might not like everything on one show, but like I feel that like a good company will have something on a show for everyone, not necessarily everything will be for you.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
100%. But are you talking about WWE or wrestling as a whole?
I'm talking about wrestling in general.
Yeah, I was going to say
that.
I totally agree.
Yeah, because WWE do not.
WWE is
they
specifically for. Now
they have their style and they have the way
wrestling
that it works for
fans
them.
will never stop watching WWE, but I don't watch wrestling anymore, so this is a very out of date opinion. But when I stopped watching wrestling, it was because I felt like I was being punished for being a wrestling fan, because they had started catering more to like very overweight white males in their 50s and children.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's why I haven't watched WWE in a couple years now.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. But I still like to keep up to date with like what's going on. But since AEW started, which was in like 2019, I've maybe watched like a WrestleMania, but like that's it. Like I've completely like dropped off.
Can I add something to your list of 3? Just a really mini one, just because we got the time.
Yeah, of course.
The thing that I think I was most affected by in my own life from wrestling, because I wasn't a big fan of wrestling. The thing that actually affected me was the theme tunes, 100%.
Okay.
So like I still remember my most recent brush with like emotion, true emotion, like crying while I watched wrestling because it was so passionate. Was I wish I could remember who she was the guitarist for. She was a guitarist for a specific band. I wasn't a fan of the band, but it was Shinsuke's entrance to WrestleMania. I think when he was going up for like one of the championships
against AJ Styles.
I think maybe I don't know. I think it was the one he won though. So
it might have been in NXT then.
No, he was definitely on the main card, so he didn't win. It was something. It may have been for the Intercontinental Championship actually, but who cares?
Okay.
The electric guitar of his theme before he was a heel, so there was no rap. It was just the face.
Yeah.
Oh
so
man,
good.
that music just touched every part of my central nervous system. It lit me up like a fucking Christmas tree. Like seriously, I have watched that so many times, and when it goes like dark, and the guitarist does like a jump and strums the guitar a single time, tears come into my eyes involuntarily. It's like when I listen to the cross between March of the Black Queen and Funny How Love Is by Queen. There's a crossover between those tracks where it builds up perfectly into this massive crescendo at the start of Funny How Love Is. I just start crying and I can't control it. It was exactly like that. There are magical moments in music that just touch the soul that you cannot get anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And I actually do think, although a lot of them are shit, wrestling themes more often than not really fucking hit the mark. Like they do a great job.
Let me tell you, there are some some of them. Darby Allin's theme is incredible. It's a song called I Fell.
Yeah,
amazing. Ricky Stark's theme is like he's from New Orleans, and it's a very like New Orleans like jazzy like
nice.
It's great.
The ones I remember, I mean, obviously Finn Balor, like the Finn Balor, the Demon one. Holy shit! So sick. Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe's.
I miss Samoa
so
Joe,
good.
but Samoa Joe is fucking voice acting in the new Arkham game. He's Shark.
Samoa Joe also just debuted in AEW.
Oh, he's doing so well for himself. Good lad.
Yeah,
I always loved
Joe.
Joe, so like, fuck yeah, dude.
Current Ring of Honor television champion, also.
Nice. He's doing great. He's doing fucking
He's doing
great. Who else did I have? Yeah, obviously Shin. Like I listened to Shin's nonstop. Honestly, it was Shin and Balor. Like their themes were the fucking best back in the day. But I did have I had the classics. I had Seth Rollins. I had Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn's is
funnily
good.
enough, Tozawa.
Okay.
He had a pretty decent theme that I listened to a lot. I think it was called like Purple Velvet or something. I can't remember. And also the worst tag team of all time. Those fucking idiots who wore like pointy clothes, who are from Canada, who got jobbed out to like those old people at WrestleMania and their whole career was ruined.
The Ascension.
Yeah, the Ascension. Their theme slapped. Holy shit.
The Ascension was so good, and then they fucked them as soon as they brought them up.
Classic WWE.
In NXT, they were incredible. They got brought up, and they were just like, you're just like a shit Road Warriors. And then everyone was like, oh no, they came out and were like, we're better than the Road Warriors. And everyone was like, boo, we hate you now. And then they just got killed by old people.
Oh no, wait. Is that them? Or is that Seth Rollins?
That's Seth Rollins.
Fuck. No, well, yeah, they had a great one. I haven't listened to it in a while, but... Oh yeah, no, it's similar. It's... Yeah, no, they were good. A lot of gym good memories, like a lot of really early personal records in the gym when I was young were broken listening to things like Braun Strowman's theme. And actually, Killian Dane. I don't know if you remember Killian Dane, but he had an incredible theme. His theme was great for the gym. Super good. Anyway, sorry. That's my little 50p.
Nice.
So let's move on to your last point.
Yes, the storytelling.
Yeah.
So for this, I want to give an example of a story that happened recent. So this is like a recent one.
Okay.
It happened in AEW, which is All Elite Wrestling. Like I said, they're like the main one that I watch at the moment. I think like a lot of their stuff is great, and I'm just really enjoying it. I think it's really good. There's good, like I said, they're doing stuff that's like a bit for everyone. But this story is mainly it's around Hangman Adam Page,
who I like,
as well as who you like. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think I like him.
Okay,
I can't really remember if I know him, but I know I like Hangman.
Nice. So when All Elite Wrestling started, it was started by a group of wrestlers called the Elite, which were Matt and Nick Jackson, who were the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, and Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah. Yes, I do know who you're talking. He's the guy with like who had like almost the panda face paint.
No.
Who is that guy? He had black and white face paint.
Darby Allin.
Fuck. Okay.
No worries. And at the very first press conference they did, Hangman Page gets up and he says, "I will be your first world champion." He was like, "I don't know the plans, I don't know when it's happening, but I will be your first champion." And it goes up to, so that the first pay-per-view he wins a battle royal to get into the match, to like fight for the championship.
Against who?
Against Chris Jericho.
Holy shit.
Who is like, he's been wrestling for like 30 years, very well known, like an incredible get for them, like right off the bat that Chris Jericho joined.
I totally forgot about Chris Jericho. Yeah, just little tidbit. Incredible theme also.
Incredible theme, yeah. Amazing. His AEW theme is really good as well. It's just his own song. Like, it's his own band song.
Oh, great. Fuck yeah. Fozzy.
Fozzy, yeah. Judas by Fozzy.
Yeah, man.
Like,
oh.
it's a good song.
Yeah, no, good for him. He's living out his dream. What's his finisher right now?
So, his finisher now is called the Judas Effect, which is like a spinning back elbow.
Ooh, nice and safe for his old bones.
Yeah, but it used to be like the Walls of Jericho or the Lion Tamer, which were like submission moves.
Yeah, I loved that. That was a good one.
Yeah, the Walls of Jericho is a classic. So they go up. So they're fighting in the main event of what, like, the second pay-per-view AEW does, to be the first champion. And everyone before the match, there's loads of things going into it where they're like, "Hangman, like you're the underdog in this one. Like, you're only like 26 or 27 or however old he was. Like, come on, like, do you really think you can win?" And he was like, "I've said, like, I will do whatever it takes to win. I came out and I said that I will be the champion." And then he loses. Whoa. He loses the match. And that starts like...
Is it really hard? Did he fight hard, though?
He fought very hard. He fought very hard. And this starts like a very slow losing streak where he can never get like the big win. He can pick up the wins against the little people, like, you know, like the people lower down the card. But like, he has a match with Pac, who was Neville in WWE.
Yeah. Oh my fucking god. Yeah, Neville.
Yeah. And he can't beat Pac. And then he has other like higher caliber matches, and he just can't seem to beat anyone until he joins a makeshift tag team with fellow Elite member Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega coming in to AEW was like the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
Like, he's known as like the best bout machine. Like, he can just go and he is insane. And when he started up, he also kind of had like a bit of a losing streak at the start, and then they form a tag team together. They end up winning the tag team championships, and during this time, Hangman is becoming like a bit of an alcoholic. After every match, he goes into the crowd, like grabs a beer from someone, downs it, is having a great time. The crowd also at this point absolutely fucking love him. Like, the most over boy in the world.
Underdog.
So Kenny and Hangman are the champions, and Hangman is kind of like wanting to leave the Elite because he's like, I can't just keep being like the least successful member of this group. I need to go out and be by myself. But Kenny and the Young Bucks keep just like pulling him back in, and they're like, come on, like you need to be your friends. Come on, you stay with you. And then honestly, there is possibly my favorite match of all time, which is Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships at Revolution 2020. And this match fucking slaps. Going into it, there is so much tension. I genuinely like can't remember before this moment being this excited for like one match. Like the build up to it was incredible. The tension between like Kenny being like best friends with the Bucks and him sort of like him and Hangman having a lot of friction between them. Hangman wanting to distance himself from everyone altogether, but them being like, you kind of owe us because we kind of like sorted you out. Like we got you this job basically. So him kind of being like kept in. The emotion in the match is just incredible. And at the end, Hangman Page and Omega win. But like it's like a 40-minute match. Honestly, I cannot tell you how much I love this match.
Yeah.
This is one where I have gone back and watched it a couple of times because it's just so good.
It's just that good.
Yeah, and they do a little tease breakup at the end between Hangman, where Omega and the Young Bucks are in the ring. Hangman's by himself on the outside, and he's setting up on the ropes to flip out. So his finisher is called the Buckshot Lariat, where he flips over the top rope and then hits them with like a clothesline. So basically just like a big like hit with your like upper arm. I can't remember what that part of your arm is called.
Forearm.
Forearm, thank you. So he's like setting that up, and then Kenny turns around and he's like, oh no, like I wasn't doing anything. So then this goes on, and eventually Kenny and Hangman lose the titles because a team called FTR got in Hangman's head and basically were just like, we can be your real friends, like forget about them, we'll be your friends, like we're all from Virginia, we're all from Carolina, like we know you, it's good, like. And then they lose the titles, and Kenny just like is just like, I'm done. I am done with you. I'm done with this. So then they're both put into a tournament to become the number one contender for the World Championship. And they reach the finals and fight each other. And again, Hangman cannot win the big one. Kenny wins. But again, it's a great match. Kenny then goes on to cheat to win the AEW World Champion, becoming big major heel. The Young Bucks then also turn heel. All become big, like the baddest guys. And during this time, Hangman is just like he's becoming friends with this group called the Dark Order, they're kind of like a cult, but they're like a nice cult. They're very just like friendly and funny, and he's like, and they have this whole thing where they're trying to get Hangman to join the Dark Order, and he's just like, I can't. Like the last time I joined a group, it ended really badly. I can't put myself in that position. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And he tries to distance himself from them, and they're like, hey, like you don't need to join. You can just like, we can just hang out like sometimes, like we can just be friends. And he's like, yeah, that would be really nice.
That's sad.
And it's so wholesome. And then so Omega's championship reign lasts like months and months and months, almost a year. And it gets to the point where he's like, I've beaten everyone. Like, there's no one left here. I'm just going to take a couple months off because no one is on my level. I'm unbeatable. And then a couple of the members of the Dark Order come out, and they're like, I think we know someone who could beat you. Yeah. Like, definitely. And then Hangman is like, what the fuck, guys? Like, how could you do this? I can do my own battles. Like, I don't need you to help me out. Fuck you, basically. And gets really angry and just leaves for like a couple months, like for a couple weeks. And they're like, fuck, like we shouldn't have done that, like, you know. But they're just like, you need to believe in yourself. Like, you can do this. You can beat him. And then he comes back, Theo. He comes back and he wins a ladder match, and he gets his shot against Kenny Omega, and he cuts one of the best promos I've ever seen, which is all about how, so his catchphrase is like cowboy shit, where he's just like, I'm gonna do cowboy shit, and he's like, I can't promise you that I'm gonna win, but I can promise you I will give you my heart, I will give you my soul, I will give you my blood, either way, win or lose, I will give you my tears, but there is one thing that I can guarantee I will give you, and that is cowboy shit. And I was like, oh my god,
cowboy shit.
Honestly, and he's just He's just like
Lenny!
coming out here in the first what is it? Coming out of the first press conference and saying, oh, I'm going to be champion, that was cowboy shit. And just like goes through like the whole 3 years up to this point that this company has been around, that he has been just working there. And it literally, like, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, it was just incredible. Amazing. So then they get to the big match at Full Gear, which is one of the pay-per-views. And Hangman finally wins. And the Young Bucks come out. This is another. So in the very first match against Chris Jericho, he's like, hey, Young Bucks, can you come out and be in my corner for support? Feel like I could really use the help. And they're like, oh, we've got our own match. Like, sorry, like, we can't really do that. And he's like, oh, no, like, it's cool. Don't worry about it. And then in this match, the Young Bucks come out and he's setting up on the outside of the ring to flip in and hit the buckshot lariat. And they just come out and they give him a little nod. And they're like, yeah, you've well done. Like, you've earned this. He goes in, buckshot lariat, 1, 2, 3, wins the belt. I'm crying.
Wow.
Everyone's crying. The Dark Order then come out. All of them. There's like 10 of them. They all come out. They hand him a beer, and he chucks the beer on the floor and just gives them all a big hug. And they pick him up. And oh my God, Theo, it's incredible. This literally, like, it's a 3-year story.
Yeah.
Which is something that you just don't get in other media.
Long form storytelling.
It's just perfect. And it's the kind of thing where you don't realize how many little strands have been made until you get to the end and you put it all together.
You know,
then you're like,
I think to bring it full circle, I think the reason people compare it to soap opera rather than anime is because it's not animated. So there's like a level of realism that you achieve with non-animated stuff because it's, you know, quite literally, it's like flesh and blood. You see it happening. But the same way that calling it a soap opera means it's not descriptive enough.
Yeah.
It's like the long form storytelling that they manage over 3 years of EastEnders is incomparable to a TV series, even if it ran for 3 years, because they're not on screen as long as Phil from EastEnders is, because he's on every bloody Thursday, every week, for every year of his entire life until he dies of kidney failure. But wrestling, they truly do that. So, and it's also their real lives. So as much as it is like kayfabe, it's like, you know, not real but played up to be real. It is their real lives, their real friends, their real job, their real body, the real damage they're doing to it. It's a level of true commitment to realism that you cannot achieve in any other form of creative industry.
Yeah.
It is just unique.
I completely agree.
You know?
It's so unique. And that last reason is probably the main reason. And there's so many other stories that, like, you could go into. There was a recent, like, CM Punk MJF storyline that was all about, like, MJF being a fan of his as a child and being, like, broken when he, like, left for 7 years and just being like, oh, it's so good.
MJF is me.
MJF is you. I hope not, because he's an arsehole.
Oh, really?
he's like the most hateable person. But he's also, like, he's very fun. He's just a very good heel. And he doesn't break character. So he, like, he was doing, like, a signing, and there's, like, pictures of him with, like, little kids, and he's just, like, got his middle finger up to them.
Wow. That's kind of one thing I really loved about the big old Braun Strowman. He's just such a sweetheart, even when he was a heel. He's just such a sweetie pie. I'm a sucker for sweet people. What can I say?
That's why we get so well.
That's why we put this together, because you're such a sweet person, Charlie.
Oh, stop it.
Well, shit. I feel learned. Thank you for sharing your passion with me.
Thank you for
and I'm happy that we did
shared.
This instead of the philosophical discussion, because I feel like it's good to start this podcast wherever it ends up going with what makes us both tick.
Yeah.
And wrestling is such a huge part of your life. I think
really is.
It's a really good place to start. And I can only hope that I have enough time to think of something that fulfills me as much as wrestling fulfills you. I can't really
It's also, it's just nice to be given, because it's not something that many other people I know personally like. So it's nice to actually just be like, I can finally just talk about this thing I absolutely fucking love. And I don't have to be like, I'm sorry, like I know you don't care about this, but like here's the thing.
Well, this is
really cool.
This is the concept of the podcast, people.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm not going to start watching wrestling again. And as much as I was a big fan of wrestling, I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
But I have to be held hostage while he speaks about it, because that's the podcast. No, I'm joking. I care about his interests despite them not being mine, and so he's teaching me about them, and vice versa. And we're going to have some discussion episodes coming up too, where it's like things that we have common ground on, but maybe we have slight disagreements over. But like, this is going to be the predominant stuff where one of us tells the other one about something we know a lot about or we feel very strongly about, and the other one doesn't as much. And as much as I know a decent bit about wrestling, I think it's pretty freaking clear I don't know as much as the Godfather himself, Charlie. So, thank you for
Also, there will be people listening to this who are like, well, actually, you got that slight thing wrong. And I'll be like, no, look.
I can't believe you compared wrestling to anime. It's very different. As a fan of anime...
They were like, you said his surname was Rex Steiner, when actually it's pronounced Reich Steiner.
Reich Steiner, that would be really bad. And then if he died and they replaced him with another one, and they died and replaced him again, then it could be the third Reich Steiner. Huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that's not good.
Okay, I'll leave you with that bombshell.
It took me a second to
Okay.
with what you said, then I was like, oh no.
Thanks, guys, and leaving it out on a beautiful Third Reich joke. Thank you very much for listening to Learning from Each Other. This has been the first episode. Absolute hodgepodge. We don't even have a fucking theme tune.
We don't.
Well,
we do. It's first things first on the realist by
Oh, hell yeah. Iggy. But let me have a look for that. We're just going to keep on cracking this out for as long as we keep enjoying it. So if you're one person that's listened to this and you enjoyed it, thank you very much. And I hope you have a wonderful day. We love you very much. Whoever you are. Strange person. Bye.